I first met Alicia during my college years. Back then, she had a sturdy figure, wore big glasses, and dealt with some skin problems. Her major was art, and her fashion choices were unique, reflecting her distinct personality. Unfortunately, her style didn't come across as attractive to most guys, including myself. We had different majors, she in art and me in production technology, but we ended up in the same computer graphics design class because it was required for both of us. She needed it for her degree, and I had to take it as a prerequisite for AutoCAD. We were paired up for a group project and realized we hadn't really talked before, despite being in some of the same classes. From the start, it was clear we were complete opposites. I was into sports and hung out with the popular crowd, while Alicia smoked and was drawn to the fringe, the avant-garde, and the artsy types. My dating life involved cheerleaders and jocks, whereas Alicia often played the role of the bigger friend, or second choice among the more conventionally attractive art students. While we worked on the project, we spent a lot of time together. Naturally, I found myself looking at her, which I assume made her look back at me. One evening, our conversation drifted away from the project to more personal topics. When my new girlfriend arrived to pick me up, I felt a pang of regret leaving Alicia, and it seemed she felt the same way. The next day in computer class, Alicia was cold towards me. "What did I do now?" I asked. "You're such an idiot," she replied, almost in tears. Realizing we needed privacy, I gently took her hand and led her out of the lab to a nearby park bench. After grabbing some refreshments, we continued our conversation in a more relaxed setting, away from any interruptions. "Why do you think I'm a jerk?" I asked with a grin. "Because you are," she said, wiping her tears. "I thought you might be different, even without an artistic soul," she continued. As we talked, I considered her words. "And then there you were with that woman," she added. "Are you mad because I went on a date?" I asked, confused. "No," she snapped. "It's just that you're all the same. You don't care about finding a real connection with a woman who actually loves you. You just want some shallow fling with a big-chested girl, without brains," she said sharply. "Well," I replied calmly, "curvy women are smart enough to use their assets, whether in dating, relationships, or just intimacy." She looked at me skeptically and asked, "What are you saying?" Annoyed, I answered, "They make an effort. They show they're interested in a guy." She stayed silent, her fists clenched, clearly angry. It seemed like steam might soon come out of her ears, so I wanted to clarify things. With a determined gesture, I reached over and removed her large glasses, knowing they hid her beauty. Then I kissed her, not just a peck, but a passionate embrace. Later, I found out it was her first kiss with someone outside her family. That kiss led to more intimate ones as she relaxed, and our tongues intertwined in a sensual dance. Holding her close, we shared long kisses on that park bench. The following weeks flew by. We finished our project and got an A, and we also started dating. Alicia switched to contact lenses, saw a dermatologist, and dressed a bit more conventionally. I never asked her to change her bohemian style, but as we went out more, she needed some new clothes. You know how women are. She took me shopping and asked for my opinion. I mentioned that jeans were a hit, even with artists, but she said she felt too big for pants. I reassured her, saying her curves were beautiful, like the models in Rubens' paintings. Encouraged, she bought the jeans and looked great in them. I also suggested her tops didn't match her jeans or skirts. She accused me of only caring about her chest. I joked that she was right, but said they were for me to admire. Being intimate with Alicia felt like being with a fairy tale princess. It wasn't wild, but it was special. As her first lover, I wanted to make it memorable and enjoyable for her. Over time, we grew closer, and she even started asking for it. While we didn't explore any extreme kinks, I cherished every moment because I truly loved her. A few weeks later, she looked in the mirror and said she felt like a bigger version of the kind of woman she hated. I told her she was my girlfriend, no matter what she looked like. We were incredibly happy together and eventually got engaged. After graduation, I got a job at an automotive design firm, and Alicia found her passion in layout design for an art magazine. My family absolutely loved Alicia and welcomed her with open arms. However, Alicia's family was a different story. It was just her mom and sister, and honestly, I wasn't too fond of them. At our engagement party, I overheard her sister telling someone that I was too ordinary and might stifle Alicia's artistic dreams. Even though Alicia looked radiant and happy, her mom whispered to her sister, suggesting our marriage was because of a pregnancy and wouldn't last. But as time went on, we proved them wrong. We were incredibly happy and genuinely loved each other. At our 7th anniversary celebration, her mom started dropping hints about wanting to become a grandmother. Since Alicia and I were her only hope for grandchildren, her sister couldn't have any, Alicia quickly reassured her we were trying. Despite our efforts over the years, we were met with disappointment. Alicia's mom, Linda, took it upon herself to book us appointments at a fertility clinic, assuming the issue was on my end. I went to the appointment, did all the tests, and provided samples, only to find out everything was fine with me. Linda, upon hearing this, joked that we should keep practicing until we succeeded, so she could become a grandmother while still young. But Alicia's results told a different story, changing our lives forever. We discovered she had several reproductive health problems, making it extremely unlikely for her to conceive naturally. That night, I held her tight as she cried herself to sleep. I told her that adoption or exploring treatment options were always possible for us. Inside, I resented her mother for blowing the situation out of proportion. Tearfully, Alicia said, "If you want a divorce, you can have it. I'll never leave you unless you force me away," I told her. I mentioned her mom's suggestion that she might cheat on me to get pregnant. "I'll never betray you, Mona. You're everything to me," I assured her. Looking at me, she asked, "Why stay with a woman who can't have kids?" Making sure she understood every bit of my sincerity, I said, "Because I love you more than anything, and losing you would destroy me." She seemed to calm down a little and eventually fell asleep. Honestly, those days are now a blur, and I struggle to remember all the details. 2 days later, we got a call from the clinic asking us to come in for an appointment. During the meeting, the doctor told us she had sent Alicia's tests to a specialist. Our shock grew when we found out Alicia was dealing with an aggressive cancer in its early stages. Suddenly, everything made sense. This explained her constant exhaustion at 25, the unexplained aches, and her frequent mood swings and irritability. I was terrified by this news. Fortunately, we caught it early, which gave her a good chance for recovery. The doctor referred us to a specialized oncology center and arranged an appointment for the next day. Alicia began a series of extensive tests, marking the start of her difficult journey. I took a leave of absence to stay by Alicia's side through her ordeal. I was there for every test, offering support and encouragement as we waited for results. In the following weeks, Alicia underwent lymph node surgery and started radiation therapy. I stayed in the family suite at the cancer center to be close to her. I greeted her each morning, stayed with her all day, and even got permission to stay overnight until she fell asleep. Occasionally, her mother and sister visited, giving me the cold shoulder, maybe thinking I was somehow to blame for Alicia's illness. Unfortunately, the radiation therapy wasn't working and started damaging healthy tissue along with the tumors. So, we switched to chemotherapy. Alicia lost a lot of weight from the radiation, and chemo threatened to make her hair fall out. The nurses at the hospital were amazing, often going beyond their duties to help me care for Alicia. One nurse, Jordan, was especially helpful. With her striking red hair, green eyes, and tall, slim build, she was full of warmth and kindness. Every morning, Jordan greeted me with a smile or a joke, offering a hug or a listening ear whenever I needed it, helping me keep a positive outlook. Most of the nurses in the oncology unit worked 4 10-hour shifts with 3 days off. However, Jordan worked from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. She was there when I left Alicia at night and when I came back at 6 a.m. the next day. In my experience, she was always cheerful, especially around me. The only time I saw her upset was during a conversation with Alicia's mom, Linda. Linda remarked that I'd probably leave her daughter now that she was sick. Jordan responded fiercely, threatening to intervene physically. "This environment is so disheartening," Jordan said. "A lot of our patients don't get many visitors because their loved ones are afraid to come, worried about catching something," she explained. She pointed out how I was constantly there for Alicia during tough times, holding the vomit bucket and helping her to the restroom. "Have you been here the whole time?" she asked sharply, acknowledging how committed I was. "He's the one helping her to the restroom," Jordan noted. "Were you there when she lost her hair?" Jordan laughed, recalling my bald head. "Did you stick around during that time?" she asked, clearly annoyed. "Hez the one giving her sponge baths to help her keep her dignity," Jordan pointed out. "Were you there then?" she asked again. "He used all his vacation and sick leave to be with her. Her insurance doesn't cover everything and he's deeply in debt for your daughter," she stated. And through it all, he's been right by her side every day, holding her hand and reminding her how much he loves her, she said, pointing a finger at Linda's face. I wish I'd seen it for myself, but hearing about it later brought a small smile to my face. What mattered most was Alicia's well-being. Several nurses told me about the incident, all of them just as angry with Linda. I noticed Linda became noticeably less distant toward me afterward. In fact, she even reached out and patted me on the shoulder while I held Alicia's hand as she napped in the afternoon. The chemotherapy took a toll on Alicia, leaving her weaker but cancer-free. Her hair started growing back, and we adopted a new diet to help her regain strength. She had multiple plastic surgeries to remove excess skin from the weight she lost. Alicia emerged as a new woman, 80 pounds lighter, with clear skin, contact lenses instead of glasses, and her hair restored. People who knew her couldn't help but do a double take. Though she wasn't as stunning as Jordan, she was the best version of herself, and my love for her never wavered. I went back to work, putting in extra hours to pay off the medical bills we had. Alicia couldn't work for a while. Our intimate life, always fulfilling, became even more intense as Alicia expressed gratitude for my support during her illness. She started casually hanging out with women from her old job while I was at work. It seemed like her way of socializing more since she'd never been outgoing except with me. Maybe it was some sort of post-cancer affirmation, but I didn't think much of it. I was unaware that my marriage was on shaky ground. In the weeks that followed, Alicia began coming home later and often seemed drunk. "I've never had so much fun," she said. I couldn't help but feel guilty, working 12 to 16-hour days to pay off her medical expenses while she was out having fun without me. Her clothes became more revealing, prompting me to ask why. She said she wanted to show off her new body and claimed it was all in good fun. I couldn't help but wonder when she felt the need to seek approval from others. During that time, I thought about our marriage, sensing something wasn't right. Despite my concerns, I hesitated to face the truth because Alicia was my whole world. Our shared experiences, especially battling cancer, had brought us closer together. I was unaware that my dedication had caught the attention of the owners at my company, leading to a big raise, promotion, and bonus. I saw this as a chance to plan a vacation with Alicia, hoping to reignite our relationship. Instead of telling Alicia the good news right away, I decided to surprise her with a small family celebration for her upcoming birthday, hoping to discuss the idea of relocating to rejuvenate our marriage. However, things didn't go as planned and ended up breaking my heart and destroying our marriage. During a routine hospital checkup, Alicia ran into Jordan, whom she never liked because of her looks and perceived threat. Even with Alicia's weight loss, standing next to Jordan made her feel inferior. "Hey, Alicia," Jordan greeted her. "It's strange seeing you without your wonderful husband," she said. "What do you mean? I'm not without him," Alicia replied. "He's just at work. Why are you asking about him anyway?" "I didn't mean anything by it. You're just lucky to have someone who loves you so much," Jordan assured her. "Most guys out there are only interested in their own pleasure and eventually drift away. If only someone looked at me the way your husband looks at you," Jordan started to say before Alicia cut her off. "It doesn't matter, Ram," Alicia interrupted. Knowing I'd be busy with work all day again, Alicia decided to go back to the bar she'd visited the night before. She figured she could enjoy a drink and be home before I got back. As Alicia walked into the bar, she was greeted with a hug. "Oh my God, Alicia, it's been ages!" exclaimed Charlotte Benson, one of Alicia's old college friends. "What's been going on with you lately? You've lost so much weight I almost didn't recognize you," Charlotte said. "How's your husband doing?" she asked. "Hey, Charlie," Alicia replied. "Just hanging out and having a good time." They sat down at a table and were soon joined by a group of guys. Alicia got up to dance with one of them, getting so into it that she didn't notice the door open. Everyone in the bar turned their heads when Jordan walked in. Alicia was too caught up in the dancing to see her, but Jordan noticed her actions and who she was with. Jordan ordered a sandwich from the grill, leaving with a new idea in mind. In the days that followed, I kept up my usual workload while secretly planning Alicia's surprise party. I invited her mother, sister, and a few friends, bought gifts, and hoped that the celebration and the trip I had planned would rekindle our relationship. I was pleasantly surprised when my mother-in-law offered to help me decorate the apartment for the party. During Alicia's hospitalization, we'd gotten closer, and while she might not have had romantic feelings for me, She respected my love for her daughter and accepted me. Over the next few days, I noticed a troubling pattern. Alicia consistently left the house and returned late, and our once vibrant, intimate life dwindled to almost nothing. It was hard to remember the last time we had been close. It seemed like women could sense my frustration and constantly bothered me, as if they knew I needed some relief. One evening, after coming home from work, the phone rang. "Hey Michael, it's Jordan," she said. "Hi Jordan. Any news on Alicia's test results?" I asked. "Not until tomorrow, but there's something important I need to talk to you about," she said urgently. "Can we meet somewhere? It won't take long." "How about the park across from the hospital?" I suggested. Jordan thought it over and agreed. "I can be there in 20 minutes if that works for you." "See you there," I confirmed. Jordan thought the park was the perfect meeting spot. During Alicia's hospital stay, she and I went there often to lift my spirits, sharing impromptu dinners while Alicia underwent procedures I couldn't attend. It held happy memories for us, and Jordan didn't want to spoil that. Sitting on a small bench in the park beside Jordan, I greeted her with a smile. "Am I behind on payments? Is Alicia sick again?" I asked. "Yes, she's unwell, but it's not cancer," Jordan revealed. In the next few minutes, Jordan told me about the places she had seen my wife recently, describing her actions and who she was with. "I don't have concrete evidence, but it looks like she's being unfaithful," she said. "Jordan, you're a great nurse, and I thought you were a good person too. Alicia would never do that. She loves me," I insisted. But I felt my certainty slipping away. "I'm sorry to say this, but you need to be careful," Jordan advised. "I can't believe she'd betray you like this," I replied. "You're basing this on vague suspicions with no proof. Maybe it's best if you focus on your own business." I stood up to leave, but Jordan grabbed my hand. Gently, she touched my cheek, and I found myself unable to move, my anger fading away. "I hope I'm wrong for your sake," Jordan murmured softly. "It hurts me to think you're suffering for someone who isn't worth it." Her touch sent a shiver down my spine. "I'll be there for you when you need a friend," she promised, slipping a business card into my hand before leaving. I put the card in my pocket, watching Jordan walk away. It had been a while since Alicia and I had been intimate, yet seeing Jordan walk away, I felt a sudden desire. Everything was playing out better than Jordan had hoped. She believed that if I found out the truth too late, it would hurt even more. It was better to endure a few small hurts than one devastating blow. Though she never wanted to hurt me, she knew I needed to know about my unfaithful wife. Jordan couldn't remember when her feelings for me had developed. It no longer mattered. Maybe it was during those times when she saw my unwavering dedication, whether taking care of Alicia or enduring her dismissive behavior after she started recovering, treating me more like a servant than a devoted husband who had given up everything to stay by her side for months. Jordan knew she was beautiful, a fact she'd been reminded of all her life. Despite having had relationships with many men, none had ever shown her the same love and tenderness I had given to Alicia. She couldn't imagine anything she wouldn't give to have that kind of affection in her life. She felt ready for the next phase of her plan. Returning home 2 nights later, I felt a surge of anticipation. The modest party was meant to reignite the romance with Alicia. As I paid more attention to our interactions in recent days, I noticed her growing distance and increased drinking. As I finally drifted off to sleep, she still hadn't come home. When I woke up, she was already asleep beside me, smiling as she turned over. Even though I knew she'd probably been out drinking and partying, it was typical Alicia. Initially uninterested in parties when we first met, she now wanted to experience things she once avoided, perhaps as a way to celebrate her victory over cancer. While I just wanted her to celebrate with me, I couldn't shake the feeling of being selfish. At 6:30, Alicia's mother, Linda, arrived with her other daughter, Tina. They quickly started decorating the house, knowing Alicia could arrive at any moment. Only 6 people were invited since I wanted a small gathering with close friends. By 9 p.m., guests were already wondering why Alicia hadn't shown up, and some left their gifts and departed. By 11 p.m., only Linda, Tina, and I were left. I tried calling Alicia on her cell phone for the 4th time. She called me back half an hour later. "Hey love, I'll be heading home soon." Alicia's voice was breathless and sounded like she'd been drinking. "Where are you?" I asked. Mom suggested getting a drink and I decided to join her instead of coming home. "We lost track of time," she explained. I ended up tagging along with her and my annoying sister because they still don't like you, and I didn't want their negativity to spoil whatever surprise you had planned," she added. In the background, a male voice urged her to return soon for more fun. "We'll see each other soon, and you can show me your surprise," she reassured. "Is it a big surprise?" she asked. "Sort of," I replied quietly. Silence hung in the air for a while. Then Linda looked at me, noticing my struggle to hold back tears. I felt numb, like my world had fallen apart, unsure how to react. "That's not entirely true," Linda began. "I might have had doubts at first about you being right for Alicia, but I've changed my mind," she continued. "What nerve?" Tina interjected. "Thank you both for coming," I said, pulling myself together. "I'll clean up and put away Alicia's gifts," I assured them. "She'll probably be back soon. You're welcome to stay, but I'm not sure it'll serve any purpose to see her return," I added. "Why not?" Tina asked. "As her sister, I'd love to see her face when she's confronted with her lies." "She went through a tough battle with cancer," I explained. "We don't fully understand what she's been through. All we can do is support her and hope for the best," I concluded softly. Linda and Tina left, shaking their heads. I gathered clothes and personal items from the closet, quickly packing to make fewer trips. Leaving a note for Alicia on the kitchen table, I made sure I had everything I needed to stay away for a while. The next day, I started looking for a divorce lawyer during work breaks, browsing online ads without making any calls. My coworkers assumed I was fighting a cold or flu as I stayed distant. Despite Alicia's attempts to reach me, I didn't respond, keeping up this routine for 3 days. Work, return to the motel room, sleep, repeat. On the third day, Jordan was sitting on the hood of my car as I left the building, her eyes filled with tears, leaving me confused. "Why didn't you call me?" she asked, her voice tinged with frustration. I didn't answer, just looked at her, and the emotional barrier I'd built crumbled, tears streaming down my face. "Everything you warned me about turned out to be true," I admitted softly. Jordan jumped off the car and hugged me. Despite my turmoil, I couldn't ignore the inappropriate rush of desire as her chest pressed against mine. "I never meant to hurt you. If you can, please forgive me," she pleaded. Meanwhile, Alicia looked around her messy apartment, her head pounding. "What day is it?" she groaned. "Michael needs to clean this place up when he gets back. Why isn't he home yet? Who's knocking?" Getting up, she walked naked to the door, peering through the peephole. "Phew, it's just Mom," she muttered, quickly putting on a robe and opening the door. "Sorry for the mess, Mom," she apologized. "Michael seems to disappear into thin air at work," she added. "Alicia, where have you been? What were you up to?" Linda asked, her tone accusatory. "Or judging by the way you look, who were you doing it with?" she continued. "Mom, what are you talking about?" Alicia snapped. "Alicia, why do you have hickeys on your neck?" Linda pressed. "Oh, damn it. Michael better not see this," Alicia muttered. "Mom, could you make me some coffee? My head is killing me," she asked. Reluctantly, Linda went to the kitchen to make coffee. "So how did you cover up your lie that night?" Linda asked. "What lie, Mom?" Alicia questioned. "The lies you told your husband on your birthday," Linda clarified. "Alicia, when you said you were with me and your sister, we were right here with him," Linda reminded her. Alicia's eyes widened. "I need to come up with something to say before he comes back," she realized. "You have to help me figure this out, Mom." "Why should I?" Linda challenged. "Mom, I know I messed up," Alicia admitted. "But it was all just for fun. I wanted to do things I never could when I was younger," she explained. "Back then, I was overweight, always the chubby friend, never the one anyone wanted," she recounted. "Then I met Michael, and everything changed," she continued. "I became more confident. I started dressing better because to him, I was the attractive one. But to him, I was just attractive because he loves me. Now that I've lost the weight, I'm getting attention from more guys, and it feels great," she confessed. "Now I can flirt with them a little and drop them whenever I want. Now I have options, and it's exciting," she admitted. "It's not serious. I would never actually leave Michael because I love him. I'm just having some fun," she assured. "But you yourself said, Mom, that he's average and boring. And Michael will never find out anyway," she reasoned. "He's always working anyway," she added. "He should join in the fun, otherwise he risks losing me, just like now. He should be home by now," she concluded. "That's probably true," Linda murmured softly. She approached Alicia and handed her the note she had found in the kitchen. Dear Alicia, I'm genuinely happy to see you enjoying yourself. After everything you've been through, you deserve it. Beating cancer is a feat few achieve, but you went through the battle and emerged victorious. You didn't just overcome it, you annihilated it. In fact, you've become an even stronger, more radiant person than before. From the beginning, I saw your uniqueness and fell deeply in love with you. Now you have the confidence to step out and show the world just how extraordinary you are and how big your heart is. You deserve that too. Now I understand that there's simply no place for me in your life or your heart. After all, you won my heart long ago, and you deserve to keep moving forward. I hope you find this note tonight and reach out so we can discuss our next steps, if there are any. If I don't hear from you tonight, I'll assume the worst and proceed with filing for divorce to free you from me. You can keep the apartment because I still won't be able to return there. There are too many memories. I simply hope your next partner is more deserving of you than I am. I gave it my all, did everything I could for you. Obviously, I fell short somewhere, and you deserve better. I'll always cherish you, Michael. After reading the letter, Alicia collapsed on the floor, sobbing. Linda looked at her daughter and thought, what a foolish daughter I've raised. Across town, Jordan escorted Michael to her home. She walked around the car, opened the door, and gently helped him out. Leading him to her door, she guided him inside and settled him on the sofa. She started talking to him, recognizing that he had been going through the motions for days, just running on autopilot. But now, he had hit rock bottom. Despite how he looked, she believed he had much more strength than he realized. I'm going to help him get free from that deceitful woman, Jordan thought. Jordan knew it wasn't the right time to reveal any more details about Alicia to him. A detective agency had been watching Michael and Alicia for the past week. She knew exactly when he had left her, but decided to give him a few days before confronting him. Alicia had been involved in far more than Michael was aware of, and Jordan wasn't sure if his fragile mental state could handle it. Leaving Michael on the couch, she changed into more comfortable clothes and made dinner, cooking steaks and salad. While she ate, Michael just pushed his food around on his plate, deep in thought. They didn't say a single word throughout the entire meal. After dinner, Jordan deliberately turned off Michael's cell phone, making sure there were no messages yet. This meant Alicia was still too drunk to notice he was gone, which was a good sign. Jordan then called the hospital, telling them she'd be out for personal reasons, and encouraged Michael to do the same. Despite his hesitation due to financial obligations, Jordan insisted, and he eventually agreed to take 2 days off. Jordan gave him a blanket and made him comfortable on the couch, holding him like a child and kissing his forehead. If you need me, I'm here, she assured him, pointing toward her bedroom upstairs. Meanwhile, that evening, Alicia tried to call Michael's cell phone 20 times, frustrated by his lack of response. She desperately needed to explain herself, emphasizing that she didn't want a divorce and couldn't live without him. Michael was her rock, her unwavering support. Despite her recent behavior, she insisted that her marriage was her top priority. Michael's love had been constant, even when she was struggling with her weight and was overlooked by others. Thinking about their fight against cancer, she realized their victory was a shared effort. She remembered countless memories with Michael, like the day he shaved his head in solidarity with her. Feeling foolish, she tried to call him again, this time at his workplace. To her surprise, she learned that Michael had taken a few days off and had been given a new office since his recent promotion. Alicia felt a twinge of guilt, realizing that Michael's return might not go as she had expected. Until then, she had assumed he was just upset and sulking. She thought she could calm him down by simply calling him and asking him to come home. Once he arrived, a quick conversation and some intimacy would fix everything. She imagined spending the rest of their lives together, making it up to him. Reflecting on the past few hours, she realized that her recent behavior wasn't worth risking her relationship with Michael. She had initially been level-headed. How had she turned into the kind of foolish girl she had despised in college? Initially looking for a bit of fun and self-care, she now realized her lack of control over the situation. Giving in to the attention of unfamiliar men offered only an illusion of control, at the expense of what she should have saved for Michael. There was no love involved, only empty, drunken encounters. Now she was left to wonder how much Michael knew and what kind of forgiveness he might be willing to give. On the other hand, she doubted she could ever forgive herself for what she had done. She had become the very thing she despised the most. Jordan carefully helped Michael get back on his feet. They retrieved his things from the motel and bought whatever he needed. At Jordan's suggestion, they moved his belongings into a guest room in her house. She encouraged him to talk, coaxing out a few words at first, but soon they were having real conversations. However, they avoided the topic of Alicia. As their 2-day break came to an end and they both had to go back to work, she gave him back his cell phone. She watched quietly as he sorted through his messages. Despite over 100 calls from Alicia, he deleted them all without listening. His jaw clenched, showing a newfound determination, and she believed he would eventually be okay. Returning to work, Michael felt somewhat better, though he still felt uneasy. Some co-workers had seen Jordan picking him up recently, sparking a wave of gossip. "So, Michael, who was driving that red Mustang?" asked his friend Dave. "Michael's got a supermodel with him," another colleague joked. Michael smiled but stayed quiet. Jordan was undeniably beautiful, perhaps even more so than Alicia. Did he really believe that? Michael's good mood faded when someone suggested he was having an affair with a mysterious redhead, unaware of Alicia's infidelity. Everything seemed fine until it was time to go home. A security guard rushed into Michael's office, urgently calling him to the parking lot. Michael feared something had happened to his car. He was unprepared for the chaos that awaited. Shrill cries filled the air before he even reached the lot. "What the hell are you doing on my husband's car, you homewrecker?" Alicia's voice echoed. "You left him with your disappearing act," Jordan retorted sharply. "What are you talking about?" Alicia shot back. "You vanished into drinks and cheated on him," Jordan spat. Guards stepped in to keep the women apart, but a crowd had already gathered. Michael approached Jordan, guiding her to the Mustang. He quietly told her to head home and promised to follow shortly. Then, he instructed the guards to hold Alicia for at least 10 minutes before driving off after Jordan. As he left, Michael saw Alicia's anguished cries. Despite his deep love for her, anger now boiled within him. "Michael, we need to talk," her voice echoed. "We'll figure it out. You still care for me. I can see it," she insisted. Unfortunately, she wasn't entirely wrong. With tears streaming down his face, Michael walked away. Later at Jordan's house, Michael was ready to face the situation. "What's your plan, Michael?" Jordan asked. "I guess I need to know the truth about my marriage," Michael replied. "Are you sure you want to know?" Jordan questioned. "Absolutely," Michael affirmed. "I'm not so sure," Jordan admitted. She retrieved a large envelope from her office and placed it on the table. "Everything you need is in here, but I urge you not to open it," she warned. "What's inside?" Michael asked. "When I first came to you about her, you said I didn't have proof," Jordan recounted. "And you were right. Despite what I saw, I found it hard to accept, just like when it happened to me," Jordan confessed. "Anticipating your need for evidence, I hired a private investigator to follow her. Luckily, my cousin owed me a favor, so it didn't cost me anything. I've put together quite a bit. There's a stack of photos, audio clips, receipts, reports, and even footage. But trust me, if there's any love left for her in your heart, you're better off not seeing this," Jordan advised. "By now you understand the evidence is solid, proving her betrayal. Yet seeing it will only bring more pain," she cautioned. "Once you see it, it'll haunt you for a long time," she added. "You're starting to understand this. I know it'll take time to move on from her, but you're beginning to see reason," she said optimistically. "This file can only drag you back, but do what you need to do," she concluded. "What should we have for dinner?" Jordan asked, heading to the kitchen. Michael reached for the folder and pulled out the first photo. A clear image of Alicia lying on a table in what looked like a bar, her dress hitched up to her waist. Up to this point, there were at least 3 men present. Michael found his separation from Alicia unbearable. Yet the photograph dealt a crushing blow. He struggled to focus or even breathe, putting the photo back in its folder and throwing it across the room. Collapsing onto Jordan's couch, he shut his eyes, feeling her comforting embrace. For the rest of the night, they sat in silence. The next morning, claiming illness, they visited a divorce attorney Jordan recommended. "I'll aim to expedite this with minimal pain," assured Laura, Michael's new attorney. "You don't have kids and don't own many assets except for her medical bills," she noted. "I'll cover those," Michael offered. "Why?" asked Laura. "Considering the substantial debt you're in because of her," she explained. "And her repayment acting like that," she added. Well, she added. Regardless, this should be straightforward. If she contests, well, threaten to expose the file, Laura proposed. The paperwork will be ready within days. Over the next few days, things got worse quickly. Alicia received the divorce papers and tore them apart without even reading them. She refused to sign them or get a lawyer. She told Laura she would fight the divorce with everything she had and swore it would never happen. Instead, she suggested a legal separation, saying that after a year of mutual agreement, they could consider divorce. She also wanted marriage counseling and begged Michael to come home so they could work things out. Threatening to cite infidelity as grounds for divorce could ruin Alicia's reputation if the evidence comes out, Laura warned her. Alicia laughed off the threat, telling Laura to come up with something substantial. I've made it clear, she snapped. I'll do whatever it takes to stop this. If you need to go to Rome and tell the Pope I'm unfaithful, I'll pay for your ticket. But no one, especially you or that redhead, will take my husband without a fight, she declared. She refused to consider any other proposals until she could speak with Michael. She's being unreasonable, Laura later remarked to Michael. If I were you, I'd meet with her. Not talking to her could hurt your case in court. 2 days later, Michael sat across from Alicia in Laura's office. Why are you doing this to us? She asked. You're the one who did this, Alicia, he replied calmly. Okay, I may have messed up, drank too much, and ignored you, she admitted. I understand why you're angry, she acknowledged. But that doesn't mean we should throw away the 10 years we've been together, she said sincerely. I love you, Michael. You have to believe me, Alicia pleaded. You lied to me, broke my trust and shattered my heart, Michael countered. You did things I never thought you could. You didn't care about my feelings at all, Alicia, he added. It was all about you and your needs. But Michael, I went through cancer. You can't understand what that's like, she said, her voice trembling. And after surviving that, I just wanted to live a little, she explained. After beating something like that, your outlook and priorities change, she reasoned. Alicia, I get where you're coming from. But you're wrong, Michael responded. And now you'll have all the time in the world to live life however you want. I won't stand in your way. You can do whatever makes you happy. You can entertain a new man every night, and no one will care, Michael said as he stood up and walked away, with Alicia shouting after him. Michael, you can't just leave me. What do you mean I'm wrong? Michael sat back down and motioned for Alicia to sit too. Alicia, you didn't face cancer alone, Michael said seriously. What? She started, but Michael raised his hand to stop her. We faced it together, he said, tears filling his eyes. I was there every day in the hospital, he said sharply. It was even harder for me. You felt the pain, but they gave you medicine, he continued. I had to watch the person I love most suffer, unable to do anything, but I had to be there. There were times I felt so guilty, I was willing to do anything, Michael said. If I could take your place, I would have, he confessed. And I could, but I never left you, he assured her. I had to pretend to be happy so you could stay hopeful, he explained. But inside, I was dying a little more every day. Every night I cried at home, terrified of losing you, he revealed. And every morning I had to put on a brave face again when it was all over. Going through that, I wanted to live and have fun too, he said. But the person I wanted to have fun with was too busy drinking and apparently finding other men, besides the husband who went through it with her, he said as she looked down. And someone had to work hard to pay all your medical bills, he added. So you have a new body and a new outlook, and I have a mountain of debt. You have new priorities and my wife is unfaithful. You have a fresh perspective, but you probably didn't see how you were hurting me, he pointed out. You get to live life and I'm heartbroken, Michael said. You say you love me. How do you think it feels to hear about all the guys you've been with? He asked. I'm sure they're all great, Alicia. But where were they when you were in the hospital, fighting for your life? He asked again. Cancer may not have taken your life, but it sure killed our marriage, he said seriously. Maybe it wasn't cancer, but just you, he said quietly. Sign the damn papers, Alicia. I have nothing more to say to you, ever. Michael left the room. Alicia stayed in her chair for a long time, tears running down her face. Outside the lawyer's office, Jordan watched Michael's painful meeting and realized he didn't need anything to make his depression worse. Clearly upset, Michael wasn't in the mood to talk or do anything else. Well, Laura added with a knowing look, this should be a simple process. If she contests, well, threaten to make the evidence public, she suggested. The paperwork will be ready in just a few days. Over the next few days, everything seemed to spiral out of control. When Alicia received the divorce papers, she ripped them up without even glancing at them. She refused to sign or even consult a lawyer, telling Laura she would fight tooth and nail to stop the divorce from happening. Instead, she suggested a legal separation, saying they could revisit the idea of divorce after a year of mutual agreement. She also demanded marriage counseling and pleaded with Michael to come home so they could work things out. Threatening to use her infidelity as grounds for divorce could damage Alicia's reputation if the evidence is exposed, Laura warned. Alicia laughed off the threat, daring Laura to come up with something more substantial. "I've made my stance clear," she snapped. "I'll do whatever it takes to prevent this. If you need to fly to Rome and tell the Pope I'm unfaithful, I'll pay for the trip. But no one, especially you or that redhead, will take my husband from me without a fight," she declared. She refused to consider any other options until she could speak with Michael directly. "She's being completely unreasonable," Laura remarked to Michael later. "If I were you, I'd meet with her. Refusing to communicate might not play well in court." 2 days later, Michael sat across from Alicia in Laura's office, tension filling the room. "Why are you tearing us apart?" she asked, her voice tinged with desperation. "You brought this on yourself, Alicia," he replied with measured calm. "All right, maybe I went too far, drank too much, and ignored you," she admitted, her voice softening. "I understand why you're upset," she acknowledged. "But that doesn't mean we should throw away the 10 years we've been together," she said earnestly. "I love you, Michael. You have to believe me," Alicia pleaded. "You lied to me, shattered my trust, and broke my heart," Michael countered, his voice steady but firm. "You did things I never thought you were capable of. You didn't care about my feelings, Alicia," he added. "It was all about you and your desires." "But Michael, I went through cancer. You can't possibly understand what that's like," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "And after surviving that, I just wanted to feel alive," she explained. "After facing something so terrifying, your priorities and perspective change," she reasoned. "Alicia, I understand where you're coming from, but you're wrong," Michael replied, his voice resolute. "Now you'll have all the time in the world to live life on your own terms. I won't hold you back. Do whatever brings you happiness. Date new people if you want. It doesn't matter to me anymore," Michael said as he stood up to leave, with Alicia calling out after him. "Michael, you can't just walk away. What do you mean I'm wrong?" Michael sat back down, gesturing for Alicia to join him. "Alicia, you didn't face cancer alone," he said gravely. "What?" she began, but Michael silenced her with a raised hand. "We faced it together," he said, tears brimming in his eyes. "I was there every single day in the hospital," he said, his voice rising. "It was even harder for me. You experienced the pain, but you had medication," he continued. "I had to watch the person I love most suffer, completely powerless to help, but I stayed by your side. There were times I felt so guilty, I would have done anything," Michael said. "If I could have traded places with you, I would have," he confessed. "And I could, but I never left you," he assured her. "I had to put on a brave face so you could hold on to hope," he explained. "But inside, I was falling apart more and more each day. Every night I went home and cried, terrified of losing you," he revealed. "And every morning, I had to put on a cheerful facade again when it was all over. After going through that, I wanted to feel alive and enjoy life too," he said. "But the person I wanted to enjoy it with was too busy drinking and apparently finding other men besides the husband who went through it all with her," he said as she looked down. "And someone had to work hard to pay all your medical bills," he added. "So you have a new body and outlook, and I have mountains of debt. You have new priorities, and my wife is unfaithful. You have a fresh perspective, but you probably didn't notice how you were hurting me," he pointed out. "You get to explore life, and I'm left heartbroken," Michael said. "You say you love me. How do you think it feels to hear about all the guys you've been with?" he asked. "I'm sure they're all great, Alicia. But where were they when you were fighting for your life in the hospital?" he asked again. "Cancer may not have taken your life, but it sure killed our marriage," he said seriously. "Maybe it wasn't cancer, but just you," he added quietly. "Sign the damn papers, Alicia. I have nothing more to say to you, ever." Michael left the room. Alicia stayed in her chair for a long time, tears streaming down her face. Outside the lawyer's office, Jordan watched Michael's emotional meeting and realized he didn't need anything more to deepen his sadness. Clearly upset, Michael wasn't in the mood to talk or do anything else.